Okay, we are live, I believe. Yes, we are. So welcome everybody to the Node.js Diagnostic Working Group. Oh, good. I think that before going to the agenda, does anybody have any announcement? Oh, good, right? Okay. So the first item in your agenda is to discuss possible agenda items for the QLab Summit that will be in Dublin in the next month, actually 2 months. So it's the issue 583. Do you wanna do you have anything in your mind? Let me promote Michael to discuss, Anton.
Do we know who's going to be there? Like influence what we should talk about.
Yeah, I think it will be me, Tony, Anton. Michael will be there as well for the Collab Summit. Yes.
Yep.
Jirish, you go.
No, I'm not going this time.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll be there too.
Okay, so most of us, right? Okay. I think that one thing that I would like to discuss in the summit will be the addition of Ebpf support in Node.js. Actually, internally at Near4, I'm creating a proposal with my leader to give me time, or at least to the company time, to work directly on that. We are willing to that this is gonna be a good future for observability tools in Node.js, and even for diagnosing their application in production. So we really understand that this is a north or something that we need to working on in order to improve the ecosystem. So this is one of the things that I really would like to discuss. Next steps, current support. I know that we have a few traces in the current Node.js source code we can intercept, but I mean, we need to understand also what is the benefits of adding, I don't know, static probes in each cheeks of the event loop, for instance. I think that it would be awesome, and how can we do it without affecting the performance? I mean, I don't see it affecting the performance since it's in the kernel side, but how we can adopt it in other platforms, since Ebpf only works in Linux. So that's one of my ideas to discuss there.
Yeah, I'd love to have a solid conversation about that and sort of document all the document, but just get some thoughts about it. It would be good. I think a lot of the conversation is going to stem in terms of what are the roles and responsibilities of Node.js as a platform across the different operating systems. There's always been a tension, I'm going to call it that, in terms of what, and it's for historical reasons, in terms of what capabilities we have on, but there's a lot happened in the dynamic tracing world since. I know it's landed in Windows, obviously Ebpf, the other Unices have equivalents as well. So FreeBSD has dtrace, and Illumos obviously drove the whole initiative. Because there's always been a feel that if we're writing capabilities like that, we need to write the tooling that goes with it, and I don't think we do. I just think we need to provide the entry points and let it all happen. But the challenge with that is, and I'd love to talk to James Snell about this, but the challenge I think we've had is the folks that go away and write the tooling don't look after the probes in the source. And that's what we need to dive into the detail of, I think, and have some ideas on that. But yeah, I'd love to have a full hour, if not more, on that.
Because I think a key factor in the discussions, and at least in the past discussions, were around maintaining those probes and the overhead of maintaining them in core. Like if it was free to get them in, then everybody would be like, well, sure. But I think it was like the very first Diagnostic Summit, it was kind of like, should we rip all these out because like they're a pain and nobody's looking after them, right? So that's the key, I think, thing to try and figure out is like, can we make it less painful, or like how do we address that particular aspect of who's going to keep them up to date and how do we minimize impact to everybody else?
Yeah, there's one thing that really annoy me, yeah, and I believe Stephen can go deeper in that. Is that when you are working in a real world application and you need to measure performance, you normally include a APM for that, and it's a paradox because when you add APM, it drops your performance. So to measure your performance, you are basically cutting 30% of your performance. Actually, we did a research in the past, and usually the APM adds 20% of overhead in your code, depending on the application, at least in a ATP application. So this is a lot just for measurement, So I believe that including it as a Ebpf in a separate process would certainly be a game changer. So, okay, we have the Ebpf support. Any other topic?
There was some initial, I don't know if we want to save it for then, but we should definitely have a catch up. I don't know if Ken's going to make it actually. But Ken's proposal of putting the debug helper into rewrite aspects of LL Node to make it more supportable. I don't know if that's a good topic, but it's certainly something that I'd be interested in. Sort of what's happening around LL Node, and
okay,
because it's I'm conscious that we've got some. Obviously, we've got a lot of focus on the moment. Like looking at the PR, like the PR is just inches away from landing. So I think we'll have something, but how are we going to make sure that we don't get into the similar situation where we all walk away and say, great job, and in 2 years' time, it's back to where it was,
So I will include it as next years of LL Node.
Yeah, something like that.
In one very concrete thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, the challenge, as I understand it, is that for each version of Node, there's some changes that are needed to keep it going, right? And if we don't have people doing that, then like you get Node 18 and it doesn't work, right? So an interesting topic, I think, would be like, what can we do to simplify that, automate it, make it more, I don't know, part of the regular flow of the work, or it's like, how do we address that challenge that like for every release something has to happen? And right now it's pretty ad hoc, right? Like it depends on somebody saying, oh, I know that needs to happen, let's do it, versus it naturally happening out of the regular product release, whatever flow things, right?
Yeah, and I think that there's some it'd be, and I think this actually came up on the LL Node call. So there was certain processes, catches, like where they looked for changes in the V8 engine and bubbled them out, but even when they did that, nothing happened. So I think we need to learn from those experiences to make sure it's a little more concrete. I mean, ultimately, what would be really good is if we could fail releases based on LL Node not being ready.
Yeah, I believe we probably will need discuss a bit about like any kind of refactor in the LL node to make it more easier for newcomers, at least, because we can learn it right now, but if someone goes I don't know, leave the project or don't want to keep going with this one, we still need like a way to improve the documentation in order that anybody can learn it fast, not too fast as the goal of the application, but at least they can do it by themselves. So okay.
Yeah.
Next years of LL node was added, a second topic. Which one? I mean, in our agenda we have the user journey tracking documentation. We are moving with it. I mean, slowly, very slowly, 3 years of work, but it's going on. And I think that we can at least go to those topics and see, okay, this is good and this is bad and this is missing, and at least like do a kind of refactor since we have our first documentation in the Node.js blog docs actually. We can at least go deeper and see, okay, this is helpful, or okay, this is not helpful at all. It's just pointing other links. So, and also the structure was created 3 years ago. Probably today we have a different way to diagnose applications that we can add to the list at least. So we include it. Everybody agree?
Yep, I think that also I created a new issue last week about defining writing practices, writing rules, and we could add them, and also for newcomers it could be easier to even back and forth, and even give to newcomers a way to submit new documentation. For example, submit the plan first, discuss about the structure, and then write it down, instead of making the opposite, writing down and then discuss the structure after, and stuff like that. That could be awesome. So, yeah.
In the context of the Collaborator Summit, I also wonder, like, often it's been like a recruiting effort. So like, I don't know, like a 10-minute overview of here are the significant efforts that the working group's working on, and just, for new people to say, hey, these are the things we're working on. If you're interested in these things, come and join us, before we dive into the details. I don't know who will be there, but I always hope that, we'll find some new people, and that might help to get them engaged.
I will probably be available in the first day, because the second day, I think we will discuss a bit about security in another working group. So I might not be fully available to discuss everything, but I think it's the same place. And
yeah, I wasn't thinking like a whole nother talk, but like just to plan somewhere at the beginning, if we have like an hour session or whatever, do a little intro.
Oh,
maybe
yes,
even, I don't know, even in the Collaborator Summit itself, I think in the past we have done some like working group intros, but we haven't gotten that far to understand it. Just figuring it would be good if we fit that in somewhere.
Okay. So let's let's move on to the next item. We have two issues related to LL Node, and I believe those, we will have half of this working group that Anton will show, we will discuss about LL Node, next steps, and tracking, some tutorial. So I think that we can let it to this half, to the another half at least. So let's move to the Ebpf tracing tool list, the issue 535. Basically, it's what I said. I've been working it internally at Nearform to give time at least to create a proposal in how we can work on that, how we can expose it to community to be more open source. And that's it, not too much really. So I think that we can go to the issue 502. I have a PR open related to this issue. Basically, we have migrated the memory, and I have migrated also the live debugging. I have the PR open. So if you go to the issue, the root issue 502, you'll see that live debugging has a PR attached. Just one thing is that, I have just moved the documentation to the Node.js org, but looking to the documentation itself, like it just pointing to another documentations. I don't know if this is helpful at all. I mean, if we are filling some gap specifically, and if we need to move it. So I have created a PR in order to get more, to get feedback. So what are your thoughts on this? So I think that you can do a sync. We don't need to take a decision here. So please just take a look there if you have any insight. I'm planning to I mean, if nobody, if there's no objections, I'm planning to merge it this week. So in the end of the week. So that's it. We can go to the issue 349 is report version semantics are not defined. So this issue was stale and Jira resurrect it, I guess. And yeah.
Yeah, basically this is a long-standing issue. The problem is the fact that diagnostic report at the moment do not have a consistent versioning mechanism. Originally, we thought about having a semantic versioning, but then the report being data as opposed to code, the patch, major version, minor version, patch version kind of thing do not make sense. So we were thinking about a single digit versioning mechanism wherever there is a structural change to the report. For example, adding a key, removing a key, or making modifications to the name of the key would warrant a bumping of the report version. That had some concerns raised in the discussion. For example, how do we consistently perform backporting with no breaking change definition and things like that. So one of the comment that is linked in the issue provides a reasonable explanation of why backport doesn't need to honor the breaking changes, etc. And with that, I think we should be good to conclude here. If I remember correctly, this is not blocked on anything, but as such, it went off the diagnostic agenda, and then we forgot to discuss it further for convergence. And more importantly, the tooling vendors who are the stakeholders or the beneficiaries of the report version was not keen since then. I mean, we didn't hear anything from them since then. So that's where it got dropped. But I guess we are good to go with a single digit versioning system for structural changes in the report, unless anybody has any objections.
Just a quick question. Is it related, like, I mean, to the Node.js release itself, or is like totally report? Because it's not clear to me in which version, report version are we talking about?
Do you know the diagnostic report, which is a textual dump of the internal state of the Node.js virtual machine?
Oh, yes, the one. Okay, yes, I know.
Yeah. So that what happens is there could be software parsers and tools that runs on top of the report to build a pipeline or automated workflows, etc., to get a meaning out of the reports. So if the report undergoes structural changes, these tools are going to break. So having a version attached to the report, it's easy for the tools to first parse the version and then based on that, have an understanding about how the shape of the report will look like, and then parse it accordingly. So the question is, should the version follow a x.y.z model, which is the characteristic of a semantic versioning, versus a single digit versioning? Because report is anyway data, it's not a code. So any sort of changes is a progressive change, and it warrants a single digit bump. That's my proposal.
Okay. Yeah, I agree in that. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me. But why it can't follow the Node.js versions?
You mean the
Yeah, I mean, when you
version
make
of the Node.js release itself inherits
Yes.
into the report?
Yes, I mean, for instance, if you need to do a structural change, it will be a major. It should be landed in the major release of Node.js, at least. It's just because it's like hard to maintain, right?
Yeah, that's a possibility, but it would unnecessarily make the report version change. Sorry, report upgrades to be made only on major version boundaries.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I have no objections, but I don't use it nowadays, so I can't fully relate.
I think it's when you, Garesh, when you mentioned that there was somebody interested from the tooling vendors, who was that? Because it'd be good to get an opinion.
Yeah,
Because they're going to be basically what we're saying. When you have a single digit, you can't communicate that you've made a change, but it's backward compatible. In so much as, say, with JSON, where you kind of say you add a field, that you're probably going to get away with that. But if you completely change some of the data structures, then that's probably going to break the vendors. You should really be, I say you, like the version should communicate that somehow. Do you know? So then they can understand how much of a change it is between one version and the next version. But I think you're right. It's not Semver. It's not Semver isn't the right way to do that. But it's something like Semver, I think.
Yeah, the tooling interested party from the tooling perspective was Christopher Hiller, Bonskull.
Oh yeah, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had a tool built on top of report, and that's when he identified this problem and reported.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Since then, I don't hear anything from him for quite some time.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, I can see his note there. I think to be fair, I probably need to read that and have a think about what he's trying to say.
okay.
But yeah, I'm happy to have it. If nobody else, I'm happy to go and have a read and heard what you said, Garesh, around just having a single number, and provide some feedback and try and get this through.
Sure. Yep. Makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, so I think that the remaining issues in the list is the LL node. So I will let Anton move on with the tutorial as discussed in the issue. I don't recall the issue, but we have discussed that half of these security working group will be Anton presenting the LL node and the next steps going to the issues. Is it, Anton?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we said as most of us had targeted the diagnostics meeting, and we were talking about should we have a separate LL node or should we do this? I think Michael, Giresh, you're okay if we do a bit of a takeover here, yeah? I'm going to take silence as a yes, Michael.
Sorry, what was the specific
Yeah.
question? Take over if you take over.
Yeah, so we're just going to do a bit of a dive into the LL node work. We're going to run through ticket 576. There's about 6 or 7 items in there for the next half
Yep.
hour. Is that cool?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So do you want to pull it up? Or do you want me to pull it up? I can pull it up.
You can.
Yeah. Share screen. There's my desktop too. There we go. Okay, cool. We good, yeah? Thumbs up. Cool.
Oh, good.
Okay. So I think in reverse order then, just go over the work that's been completed then. So I think we mentioned the 2-factor authentication on the last call, but we've landed the LLVM compatibility piece since the last time. So the current version of LL node, which is to be published, and we'll discuss that in a minute, but it's now compatible with from 8 to 14, and that's in May right now. Okay, so then if we look at the work in progress, Tony, you've been basically just collecting some sort of artifacts that are some documents that are currently around the ecosystem and collating those. Is there any update from that, or?
I just put a message to explain I will write in or just submit a plan, then we could discuss the plan, and then I will write down and I will read all the artifact that I found and the videos also to see how can roll out the story, sorry, and then I will just to write it. And yeah, I think that she should at least have the plan this week, and probably first version or first few words on the end of the week, so we can plan to deliver it on next week.
Nice one. Okay, great. And I think there's always a problem, isn't there, when everybody gives you too much information, and it's like you got to decipher all that out.
Yeah.
Actually, what are we trying to get to here as like an introduction to LL node and all the rest. So yeah, anyway, great to hear. And there's a plan there, so that'll be cool to get that landed. Okay, then we needed to establish a core dump collaboration call. So we had that as an out of band 2 weeks ago. This session is the second version of that, and I guess we'll keep on having it a fortnightly cadence on that up until the summit at the very least, and then we'll see where we stand after that. Okay, so we'll have a follow on for this. Probably keep it if it's okay with everybody, probably keep it in the diagnostics call. But that's the plan with that. So the V8 changes 16 to 18 by Kayan. So I'm going to open this up in a new tab here. So we are, no, it's not that one. It's the pull request I want, actually. So this is, as I mentioned earlier on, this is very, very close now. We have a number of discussions around it. I put together this matrix. So fundamentally, we've got, I'm going to say 98%, but just very close to all the feature compatibility to the old versions. But we've had to drop these 6 items that are in here. We're going to look at what's involved in reinstating them and then understand what the user impact is. But we're probably going to release the next version of LL Node with these unsupported or unavailable features. That's kind of the decision that we've made, or myself and Kayan have come to within this ticket, and with other contributions as well. So I think, considering we've gone from nothing there to have 16 and 18 supported to 90x%, I think is pretty happy with that. In terms of the builds, we have it's running on 14. You can see there's one of these items up here. I think it's a stringified error that's causing 16 to fail. But interestingly enough, 18 is passing tests now for 10 and 11. Okay, so 16 seems to be a little tricky get to work, but we've got some patches we think that we can get it there. In general, for the tests, just so everyone's aware, running LLDB on the standard GitHub actions for the later versions of LLDB is flaky. So we're seeing tests fail due to timeouts because there's not enough capacity on the box. And one thing I was going to ask is can we beef up those boxes? Can we get access to provisioned machines in order to do the builds rather than relying on the free ones? I don't know. Does anybody know?
What boxes do they run them?
I think by default, currently they run on the defaults, which are 2 cores, 7 gigs, I think.
But like those are just like, sorry, I wasn't following as closely as maybe I should, but in Jenkins or in GitHub Actions or?
These are in GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions. Okay. So do we have the ability to run, there's a phrase they use for it, but isolated or pre-configured GitHub Actions within a virtual machine? I know that the ability is there to do it within GitHub. You can attach it to an account and it will start a virtual machine for you and treat it as a GitHub action. Do we have that as part of the project? Do we know?
Yeah, that we haven't done. So
okay.
You're basically like, you know, the idea is like setting up our own machine, adding it, like you can run the agent or whatever on that machine, and then
I think it's a little less painless than that. I think basically you just attach the account to your GitHub account to your Azure account, and then you configure the action to run as an enclave type action or as a specific virtual machine, and the magic all happens for you. You don't have to. It's not like you have to provision the machine yourself. It's just GitHub knows to go. GitHub action knows to go and start a specific virtual machine for you for the action and then spin it down again, I believe is how the magic works.
How is that different than our regular actions all say like run in Ubuntu or something like that?
Yeah, but the resources that runs on are shared resources from GitHub Actions. And they are limited to 2
So you're saying, right, okay, so not setting up your own runner with an agent, but saying, okay, I want to run this instead of in the shared Azure stuff in a machine tagged to my Azure account.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've not done that either.
Sorry?
Like, I don't think we've done that either.
Okay. Do we have Azure Credits? We do have Azure Credits. Right?
We do. So we do have a sponsorship from Azure. To be honest, it's mostly like for machines. It's all used for our Windows testing.
Okay.
We have been running out. Like I've been back and forth with the people who provided those credits, saying, "Hey, we're running out. Can you help?" So I think we would want to check with them before we added anything more. Just because, like, even just to support our Windows testing, we've been running out and having to chase people to say, hey, can we still have Windows testing?
Yeah. And just while we're talking about that, then, is there a build track in the Collaborators Summit? And is resources something we need to get onto that track?
I don't think there's been any discussion of a build track yet. I think like opening an issue in the build repo to say, hey, we would like to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of resources, it's maybe more work to set up like a separate VM with the runner or whatever, but that we may have more capacity for, if you know what I mean. Like we have lots of, because I think what we want in this case is a Linux machine, right? Not a Windows machine. So it doesn't matter where it is. We have lots of places where we run lots of Linux machines. Like if we didn't care and we could run on ARM, we've got some really big ARM machines that we could throw some more stuff on, right? And
yeah, okay.
So yeah, I think opening an issue saying, hey, here's our problem. Build working group, what do you think is, here's some, maybe, throughout the solutions you've already thought of, because like that one about having it being a machine in Azure, I wouldn't have thought of up the top of my head. So like putting in the things you've already thought of and then asking like, what do you think the best way to go is?
Yeah,
Be a great way to go. The other thing too is like, and maybe here's one to throw in there is like, instead of testing in actions, we could potentially have like a Jenkins job which did the testing. Right.
Yep.
And that we already have machines that already have Linux machines and all that. So that actually might be an easy way to go to. So
Yeah. I'll try and I don't want to sort of guide the solution. I'll mention what I talked about there. Currently, we're in GitHub Actions. Is this an option? But fundamentally, our problem is we're currently timing out because we don't have the capacity. What's the best way, the best and most consistent way for this to be dealt with? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'll do that. So, yeah, hoping to get this then in some stage this week. I was hoping Ken would join the call, but he hasn't managed to make it. But like I say, we are very, very close with that. So pretty happy with how that's going. Then what did I do with my meeting minutes here? Yeah, so that's that one. I have, we've got this item here for the medium term for debug helper. I think that's the one that we're bringing to this collab summit. Okay, so I'll move that out and we can discuss it there. Then we have the supported features matrix. So this was hangover from the last call where we wanted potentially the opportunity to take some bits out of LL Node if it made sense. And so what we have done here, you've seen the specific features that we've taken out for 14. There's which is captured here in terms of backwards compatibility. We're going to only support 14 current supported node releases. Are the only ones we're going to support with LL Node going forward. But what we do want to do, what I think we should do is, and I'll bounce this off everybody here, is while we have a build that supports 8, 10, 12 of Node.js, we should do a release of that as the 3.30 build, 3.3.0. And when we do the 14 builds, we'll release that as a new major 4. But and just state categorically, we're not supporting the 3.3 builds. But you can get it if you need it. If you're running an old version of Node and for whatever reason you need it, and you can't get the older versions of LLVM, you can use this one. Does that make sense? No.
Yep. Agreed.
Cool. Yeah. And like I said, I don't think there's any commitment from us at all on that. But I was looking through some of the previous issues, and that we have in LL Node, and quite a few of them are around compatibility for 14 type problems. So I think it might be helpful to have that just out there for folks. We did mention in the last core call that we want to look at the JS API. I think this was due to this bug here that said JS API is probably broken. Love it when you get these things from the community. It's all broken, it's all on fire. But when you actually look at it, it's because they didn't put the right options into the build. So I'm not as, if it's working fine, and it seems to me that it is. So the API build is done as part of the CI tests, and is tested as part of the CI. So as far as we're concerned, it's working. I don't have the same amount of I don't have the impetus to remove JS API yet. A lot of work went into it, and it still works. So why would you get rid of it? It's not broken yet. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Okay, and then we discussed the features that we're taking out to get 16, 18 out. Discussed the versions of Node, the 3.3.0, and that's all I have really for work in progress. And we've gone over sort of the release, etc., etc. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all we wanted to cover for LL Node. Yeah. Well, certainly from this ticket. Oops.
So completing all this this work in progress, we are good to say that LL node is fully it's supported by all the active release lines. Like we can, because recently we removed it from the support, the diagnostic support list, and I think that once it's completed, I think that we can probably revert it and say, okay, Node.js is now supporting LL node again, and perhaps make an announcement or something like that, in order to get more collaborators at least, or people using it. Because I see that at least in the agenda we have an item that is alternatives to LL node. So I think people use it or are at least looking for opportunities to build something pretty similar. So I think that the announcement is very important. I would add it like as a to-do in this issue, maybe.
Okay. So let's put it in here. So you want to coordinate the announcement, yeah?
Yeah. I think that it will be
Of
good.
support reestablished in what's the tool list? What's the tool list called?
Let me send the link.
This is diagnostic tier list, no?
Yes, tier list, sorry. Is this one I just sent
Cool.
in the chat.
Yeah. This fella, yeah.
So let me find the one that we removed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, these pull requests that will be reverted, just sent in the chat as well.
Yeah, okay. Nice one. And then just while we're there, in terms of getting that broadcasted from the node, is that back to Robin again, Michael, to get it blasted out from the account? Here you go.
Mike, yep.
Sorry, I was on mute. Can you just say that question again?
Yeah, sorry. We're talking about there, once we have landed the 1618 PR to get no and published it in NPM, do we reach out to Robin to get the announcement done, or how does that work?
Yeah, and when you say announcement, what do you have in mind in terms of that? Like a blog post or?
Yeah, so probably go with Tony's sort of how-to article to lead with it. So yeah, LL node's back. Here's you can now use it with 14, 16, and 18, and here's a tutorial on how to do that. And that would square it off, I think. No?
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
so basically, if we have like a link to a blog, if we want a blog post which is published somewhere, the choices we kind of have one in. So we have the Node.js medium, but there's constant discussion of whether we should still publish things or not. So we can always ask, and it would be Robin and the new, and I'm terrible with names, but like there's a new person related who's doing the actual blog, stuff. So we could reach out to them and say, hey, we'd like this published in the Node.js medium account. Even there is a section on nodejs.org. Nodejs.org, which is, I think, like news. We could see if that's a place we want to start putting blog posts again. We haven't, like, if you look at what's there, it's mostly just release announcements, but it had been discussed that maybe that's where we should publish blog posts as well.
Yeah,
but I guess
actually it is. Sorry, Michael, to cut across you there. Yeah. It is actually a release news. It should probably go there.
Right. So, basically that's just a PR to nodejs.org.
Yeah.
And, if you're happy to sort of have that discussion of, hey, does this belong here? Then that's that doesn't require asking anybody else. We probably then want to, you know, point the people who are helping from the foundation in terms of the social handles and everything, saying, hey, we want this promoted.
Yeah.
On Twitter and wherever else. But
yeah,
and if you think it's actually got a nice release fit, then yeah, why don't we just go there?
Yeah. I'm saying we might want to do. I'm just thinking they look that looks like release notes should be. So we might want to do two things. I think this at the very least, let's capture it there. And then, oh no, actually, because we could link to Tony's stuff from there. Yeah, okay. At the very least that, and let's have a think about it in terms of additional. Do we want to put something on Medium as well?
Yeah, because like if we tried to put it there, you know, it would reignite that discussion, I think, because we've never closed on it. Like it's, you know, there's lots of people who are like, Medium isn't that great a place to put places. We haven't decided another one. Just posting them on here is, you know, one of the places we've discussed. So might be a forcing function for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, like I said, I definitely have it on here. So I'll
okay.
When we get to that, and then see what we want to do in terms of the Medium piece. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and if you get stuck, just let me know. I can help on
Grand.
stuck.
Okay. Is there anything else to discuss?
Nope. Not for
Okay.
that anyway.
Yeah, I will send the PR pretty soon about the to the minutes. I think that, I mean, not too much really. Most of the discussions is on the issues. So that's it. Thanks everybody for your time, and please any question, let us know in the Slack channel or in the issues.